The COVID epidemic has been on alert for more than a year. The Delta variant virus has recently appeared. The Delta variant strain is currently warned by the World Health Organization as one of the major epidemic strains. According to the treatment experience of the Indian variant Delta virus spreading in Guangzhou, mainland China, the severe illness rate is high as up to 15%. Hello everyone, I'm Andy, Senior Sales Specialist at Asian Pacific Division 2 here at Epix Medical Corporation. I welcome and thank you all for participating in today's webinar for the product launch. Experts say that one of the most important complications of COVID-19 is its acute respiratory distress syndrome, also known as ARDS, which is a considerable threat to the lives of patients. According to the statistics of JAMA Internal Medicine published by the American Medical Association, more than 40% of patients with moderate or severe symptoms of COVID-19 who needs to be hospitalized have symptoms of ARDS. And of all ARDS diagnosed patients, unfortunately, the mortality rate is high as up to 50%. Prone ventilation therapy is currently one of the mainstream treatments of moderate to severe ARDS. When patient with COVID-19 suffers from moderate to severe ARDS, by lying on the stomach for 12 to 16 hours a day, the lungs are to infuse with the blood to the alveoli that are better ventilated, and this to help to increase the oxygen content of the blood. From March to July 2020, hospitals in the United States reduced the mortality rate of COVID-19 patients admitted to the ICU ward from 43.5% to a significant 19.2% by optimizing care behavior and using treatment modes including prone position. However, prolonged prone treatment can easily cause pressure injuries on the front of the body, and it takes at least 2 to 3 nurses required to wear isolation gowns, regularly enter and exit the ICU ward to assist the patient with face turning. The prone position ARDS treatment with using the ProCare Optima Prone by Epix Medical is to serve the purpose of helping, which can alleviate the shortage of manpower and physical challenge of the nursing staff, and to improve the efficiency when it comes to critical care. It is with my great pleasure in having the opportunity to invite a group of nurses who have been standing in the front line of defense against COVID-19 from Thailand to participating in this online product launch through today's webinar. Sawasdee krap, Khub khun krap. Without further ado, in today's webinar, I was able to invite two of the most professional and experienced colleagues, which shall introduce the ProCare Optima Prone to our viewers, and who will present more information through a session of Q&A. First, I'd like to introduce Mr. Craig Whelan, our Marketing and Product Manager, who has joined Epix Medical United Kingdom 4 years ago. Greg has been proactively promoting our brand and all innovations to all existing and new customers, not only in the UK market, but also in other international markets such as Poland, UAE, and Australia. Lastly, we have Mr. James Liao, who will be responding to questions through the QA session at the end. James has 10 years of experience in the medical device industry, and he joined Epix Medical 5 years ago as the regional product manager for the Pan-European division, supporting all kinds of products and marketing activities for our subsidiaries and partners. Ladies and gentlemen, with your round of applause, let's welcome Craig and James.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today. Today we are going to show you how ProCare Optima Prone can help reducing the workload for nurses conducting prone positioning. I'm going to speak through all the slides, and my colleague Greg Whelan will be in the UK to show to demonstrate the products for you. So this is today's agenda. I will speak about the clinical background of prompt positioning first, and then we will show you how ProCare Optima prompt can help, and also we will demonstrate some other functionalities and features of this model, and then we will end this webinar session with all the resources that we can share with you. So let's start with the clinical background of prompt positioning. To understand how prompt positioning can be applied to ARDS patients, we need to know a little bit more about how ARDS can be caused. Usually, it can be caused by bacteria or viral or fungal pneumonia or non-pulmonary sepsis, or the other causes such as trauma or pulmonary aspiration. And there are three classifications to define the severe level of ARDS. For the PF ratio that is between 201 to 300 millimeter mercury, we consider it as a mild ARDS, and up to PF ratio up to severe level, they will be below 100 millimeter mercury. And ARDS can be very deadly. Usually, we can say the mortality rate is between 30 to 40%. And so prompt position has been used for many years and is now recommended for patients with severe and moderate ARDS patients. In the still ongoing COVID pandemic, prompt position has been largely adopted by clinicians and is even used before intubation in simultaneously breathing patients as an early intervention. Like this clinical practice guideline from 3 international organizations indicated. As ATS guideline indicated, that you can see from this figure here, that prompt positioning is strongly recommended for use not only in patients with severe ARDS, but also for patients with moderate ARDS syndrome as an early intervention. There are also a study that you can see on the right hand side that showcase the adoption of early prompt position that has been used in many ICU settings. So overall, prompt position can result in improvement in oxygenation and reduction in mortality rate. These are the main reasons why the prompt position should be implemented in patients with ARDS. And also the main reason explaining decreased mortality is less over distension in non-dependent lung area and less cyclical opening and closing in the dependent lung regions. Now let's see how prompt positioning has been adapted for treating ARDS patients internationally. There is a study published on intensive care medicine on 2017 that showcases prompt positioning is widely used by a survey conducted in 20 countries. Overall, it was for 141 ICU from 2016 to 2017. As you can see on the table here, in total there were 6,723 patients, and 735 of them have developed ARDS. The rate of prompt positioning use was 5.9% for patients with mild ARDS syndromes, and 10.3% for patients with moderate ARDS syndrome. And lastly, it was 32.9% for the patient with severe ARDS. Also, last year there was a global literature survey that collects data from 5 countries. In total, there were 2,486 patients who unfortunately got infected, and 1/3 of hospitalized patients develop ARDS, and 3/4 of patients who have ARDS, they were all in ICU. And there were also many article or news that recommending the use of pump positioning in COVID patients since the outbreak of COVID-19 last year. So these are the procedure of pump positioning that outlined in the guideline published by Intensive Care Society. So you can see from the image here that at least 5 nurses will be needed for conducting these procedures. You will starting from detaching the non-essential cables and monitoring equipment, and then putting pillows and bedsheet around the patient, to roll all the bedsheet tightly together, and then move the patient horizontally to lie on the edge of the bed, and eventually rotate the patient from the lateral to prone position. And after the prone position is been adapted, and then nurses will reconnect all the line and ensure all the tubes and cables are positioned correctly and do not present any hazard to the patients. And also there is very important note here is that the patient should be in that we call a swimmer's position, uh, uh, which I will explain it later. As many clinical guidelines and papers indicated, the only absolute contraindication for implementing prone positioning is unstable spinal fracture. However, pressure injuries could happen on patients in prone position for prolonged period. The most reported susceptible areas are, you can see on the image here, are face, ear, chest, shoulder, and anterior pelvic bones, and knees, and even torso, feet, and toes. So this is how it looks when the patient is in swimmer's position. So one arm is raised on the same side to which the head is facing, while it's pressing the other arm by the patient's side. The elbow is flexed 90 degrees on the raised arm. And as indicated by many international guidelines, pump positioning should be used for 12 to 16 hours per day. And also the very important thing is the patient's head should be repositioned every 2 hours. And this means the patient's arm should be repositioned every 2 hours as well. When patient is in this position, nurses should be paying attention to all the bonding prominence, such as ear and cheeks, and also chest and dorsal feet and knees as well. And we should also ensure there is less pressure applied to patient's abdomen to allow a better oxygenation. And finally, the very important thing is we need to avoid the hyperextension of patient's neck. And now we are going to show you how Bokeh Optima Prong can help in these very complicated procedures. Bokeh Optima Prong is an air mattress which offers multiple solutions for pressure care when conducting prong positioning. It helps decrease the risk of pressure injury for patients when in spine and in prone position. And moreover, it also helps saving caregivers resource. And we have 3 sizes for this model for the moment. We have 80, 85, and 90 centimeter wide. 3 options for the matrices. And the first thing we want to address is pressure injury prevention when patient is in prone position. As you can see from this image that the patient is actually in a very complicated environment. There are many anatomic or location of this patient are in high risk when the patient is in prone position for 12 to 16 hours per day. To help with pressure injury prevention, the first thing we want to speak about is the individual air cell deflection that we have on this model. It provides a delicate medical treatment for the patient by the ability to individually offload each of the 20 numbered air cells, and these can allow a more detailed, more tailored pressure area care can be prescribed. So this is how it looks on the side of the mattress. So besides the false air cell, which is used to support patient's chest, all the other air cells are numbered and can be deflated individually. Therefore, a caregiver can easily identify which air cell they have left inflated or deflated during different care procedure or different shifts in the ICU setting. There are 3 zones on the Procare Optima Prime matrices, and the first zone is the head section. There are 3 air cells that can all be deflated when conducting the head repositioning for the patient. And also we recommend to deflate only 2 air cells in the torso section. And finally, at the lower leg section, we only recommended to deflate 1 to 2 air cells to achieve little pressure to the dorsal feet and the toes for the patient. Now, let my colleague Greg demonstrate the individual air cell deflection for you.
So now let's have a look at the air cell deflation on the Optima Prone. So firstly, you'll see the ingress protection flap here. This is a welded flap. Underneath you will see the zip. There is 2 zips on the mattress. There's a zip that comes all the way down this side, which is just purely one side, and the other zip goes from the head end around to the right hand side of the patient and all the way around to the foot end. So we're just going to be working on the patient's left hand. That's from a supine perspective. So let's now just open the zip and then expose where we can deflate the mattress. And I'm just going to push that back a little bit. So as you can see then, we have our knobs here for deflating the individual cells. We have a total of 21 cells. When we come to the head end, cell number 4, you'll see there is no knob, so no deflation on cell 4. Cell 4 is there to permanently support across, in a prone position, to permanently support across the patient's chest, so that does not deflate. So from number 1, we then come through to 5, in a prone position to then offload the pressure from the patient's chest, literally open up the deflation knob, and you'll then find that that cell is deflated. So you can see number 6 here as deflated. To reinflate, literally turn the knob back, and I've put the mattress on max firm just for the sake of the demonstration. And as we come down through to number 19, obviously in a prone position we want to then offload possible toe pressure, and we can see by doing that we're allowing that air to drop out of the cell on number 19. To reinflate, literally turn around and back to max firm and full pressure. You can see each one of the cells are identified by the knob by number, and the idea of that is that each member of the nursing of the nursing team can easily talk to each other or write down which cells they've been deflating and pass that information across to the replacement teams on shifts. One of the plus sides of the mattress is that it needs much fewer people to be able to turn the patient and reposition the patient's head. So number 1, that saves time, and number 2, resource. As a consequence, that is cost saving for the relevant hospital stroke trust.
Thank you, Greg. Other than the air cell deflection, in consideration of reducing the pressure to the patient's ear, we have studied the size of the ear from many different human race, and we get the data from the database, and eventually we design a special hollow on this special integrated pillow that we put in the mattress. That this special pillow will help preventing pressure injury to patient's ears when the patient is in a swimmer position. Now, let Greg show you the pillow.
So now let's look at the pillow section of the mattress. So we're going to the larger zip and we're going to take that across and partially down the right hand side and pull back the mattress. This will then expose the head section and the pillow section that's built onto this mattress system. In the centre of the pillow, there's a special hollowed out section which allows pressure area relief for the patient when they're in a swimmer position. So left or right hand head turn, the ear can sit inside this hollowed out section, and that gives pressure relief for them, and it means that you don't require any other pillows for achieving that. So number one, you've got that special hollowing out, and I'll show you that in a second a little bit further. The pillow is easily detachable. There's 4 press studs on both sides, so simply 1, 2, 3, 4, and then as I fold this back, I'm just going to open up the underside, and you'll see on the foam section, you'll see this hollowed out area for the pressure relief. I'm just going to pop that back. I won't bother detaching it from the other side. Right, on number 2 cell, there is also a special cell design on this. So in the centre, from that swimmer position, you can actually have an area where there is reduced pressure into there. So it's specially designed to allow the ear to rest through the hole in the foam and into there, so giving pressure relief for the patient.
The second feature is multi-zone air pressure that we have on Pocket Optima Prong, and the other model are Pocket Optima. And that this feature is able to allow the system to fit the different patient's contour and provide a greater pressure distribution, and of course the optimal comfort to the patient in both prone and supine position. So we demonstrate a significant pressure distribution to fit different patients' contour by offering different pressure in different zones. So there are three zones on our Pocket Optima and Pocket Optima Prong matrices. That each zone is with a different pressure level. We have conducted an in-house single-blinded test to evaluate the comfort level that multi-zone air pressure offers to the participants. 11 out of 15 participants would prefer the optimal comfort multi-zone air pressure can provide, and overall the increase of satisfaction was 20%. And now Greg will show you each zone and the mattress configuration.
So to cover off the cells, there's a total of 21 cells on the mattress. The first 3, and you can see on the side of the mattress base here, this hashed mark, and that shows the first 3 cells. These are all for the head cells. All of these can be offloaded individually, and they all, when the mattress is in alternating therapy mode, these are also alternating. We then come to the torso section, and the torso section is from cells number 4 to 15. Number 4 is not possible to offload, that remains permanently inflated. So number 5, again we have the hash line, which helps to identify all the way through to 15. Any one of these can equally be offloaded. We then move down to the lower leg section. So from 16 through to 21, all of these again can be offloaded. right down at the end at 21, all the way up to 16. All of these cells mean that we've got a multi-zone air control, which gives much better therapeutic pressure relief for a patient. That means much greater comfort levels.
And now let me show you how we measure the pressure distribution index. We did a PI testing by acquiring the pressure mapping data from the special equipment that you can see here. And this time we measure the pressure mapping from 3 positions. That would be supine and prone and the sitting position. So the first one is alternating therapy when the patient is in supine position. As you can see, the overall PRI is well below 32 millimeter mercury, and the average pressure is near 20 millimeter mercury, and the maximum pressure that we have seen during the testing period, it was 20.3 millimeter mercury. Also, the continuous low pressure therapy when the patient is in supine position was also tested, and as you can see, the average pressure is nearly 20 millimeter mercury as well. And the next one is alternating therapy when the patient is in prone position. And as you can see here, the average pressure is a little bit higher compared to the pressure when the patient is in supine position. However, overall, it was all below 32 millimeter mercury. The same to the continuous low pressure therapy when the patient is in prone position. The average pressure is very close to 26 millimeter mercury. And also when the patient is in sitting position, and when it's in alternating therapy, the pressure is between 20 to 22. That we got the data from the pressure mapping. Sent to the continuous low pressure therapy when the patient is in sitting position, the pressure overall it was very close to 22 millimeter mercury. So overall the PI are all well below 32 millimeter mercury. And the next feature we want to talk about is single handicare that this model can help achieve by using the special functionality from the pump and also the special matrix configuration this model is. And it can also help saving nurses resources when conducting the head repositioning to the patients every 2 hours. Firstly, I want to show you how to reposition the patient's head traditionally, and you would usually need 3 nurses. 2 of them will be standing on the side of the mattress to lift the patient's shoulders out, and the main respiratory therapy nurses should be reposition the patient's head and ensure all the tubes are well secured. On the other hand, with Bokeh Optima Prong, single handicare can be achieved by easily lifting the patient's shoulders and chest out using the special function called head reposition mode, and also the one-handed control knobs allow the caregiver to quickly offload the head section, and that will make space for head reposition. And then also the integrated pillow design will also help eliminate the need for another facial pillow. So overall, all these procedures can be conducted by just 1 nurse in the ICU. To help achieving single handicare, Bokeh Optima Prong is designed with multiple functionalities. The first one is the one that we already talked about. That is the special integrated foam pillow. that can eliminate the pressure to the patient's ear. And on the pump, there is a function called prompt position timer, that when the prompt position mode is selected, the timer will be started automatically to show nurses how long the patient has been repositioned in prompt positions. So this will be very helpful, considering the nurses in ICU setting are very busy during the day. And the second is the head repositioning mode. That this mode is for use when conducting head repositioning to the patients every 2 hours. And lastly, this feature is called shoulder lifting mode. That is for patient in prompt position for a very long period, that we can have this mattress to help relieve the pressure of the patient's neck, reducing the risk of hyperextension for the patient in prompt position. And now let my colleague to show you how these features are able to achieve the single-handed care.
The ProCare Optima pump, this is the prone version, and that is indicated because you can see the little legend here which shows the picture of a person with their head facing up or facing down. That indicates the option of a supine and prone position. So firstly, a few seconds, let's just take off the panel lock. That now gives us the control panel showing the fact that the patient now is in a normal supine position, and what we want to do is actually change them into the prone position. So we literally, as you can see, by moving the knob on the right hand side clockwise, we're going to turn it until we've highlighted a positional change, and that's going to take us to the prone. So we then depress the knob. We're then met with two further images, and just for clarity, we want to go to the prone position, so we move the knob to the right. If we wanted to return, we could go to the return there by simply going to the right, but if we go back anti-clockwise, we now press and we're selecting the prone position. On the bottom left hand corner, you'll see a timer. That indicates the fact that the prone position has started. And that for the nursing teams means they understand how long, if there's a shift crossover, how long someone has been in that prone position. And that's very important in terms of the care package that's being given to that particular patient, to keep a record of that and how many times they've been moved, etc. So as that is operating, it takes about 20 minutes to move someone from a supine to prone position, and again that's something that's already been gone over and the method that is used to do that previously in the presentation. So if I take the Max Firm off here for a second, we then can see again from the control panel, we can see by turning this control knob to the right, if we want to reposition the head, and we can identify there by simply selecting that. So if I come away, come back to it, so we're still in our prone position, and we're going to now do a head reposition. We literally click on there and you'll see a light blue outline. That means that that particular function is now in operation. So whilst we're in that position, the cells from number 4 to number 6 start to raise, and that's lifting the patient's chest. That means once that's completed, that the caregiver, the nursing team, the respiratory therapy team, then to aid that repositioning of the patient's head, can then lower and offload cells 1 to 3. That remains a single-handed care function, where ordinarily that could be several team members doing that. So this situation means single-handed care to reposition the patient's head. Very simple, very straightforward. The patient is put to do this, to enable this, is put into the swimmer position as well. We then Once we've done that, we might choose, because we're trying to avoid any hyperextension of the neck, that we want to actually now look at raising the shoulder position. So we want to take the head reposition because we've completed that task. Once completed that task, we obviously then reinflate numbers 1 to 3. So we've done that task. So we select onto the head reposition to take that task off. And now if we then want to go to our next selection, which is the shoulder lifting mode, we select it, depress the button, and now we've got 3 options. We've got flat, medium or high. So for instance, if I want to go to medium or to high, I literally turn the dial to the right and I can return on there. So if I go back left, I can then literally select medium, and you can see now that that little blue line is around that shoulder lifting, and that's to potentially avoid hyperextension of the patient's neck and applying release of pressure to the patient's chest as well. And those could be people who suffer with lying flat in a prone position and find it uncomfortable, especially if it's over a long period of time. So to achieve this, there's a special cell that sits underneath number 4, and that is raising the mattress from underneath to achieve that height, to achieve that angle. And as I say, there's 3 positions, so flat, medium and high. The overall benefits for the ProCare Optima Prone in this situation is number 1, improving patient comfort and safety. Number 2 is the reduction of resource and time spent by the hospital to carry out these simple functions. It is single-handed care, and that gives the hospitals much less risk of injury and issues with the patient, and a financial benefit, a cost saving by the reduced staff required. If then I want to stop that lift, I will then literally dial back through, deselect it, go back to the fact that I want it to now be flat, which I've selected, and if I want to return now from a prone position, select, and I would go back to a supine, and that will be the case of how you operate the control panel.
Besides all the great features that we have already shown you, and there are also some other functionality and features that we designed for nurses and patients, and even cleaning workers in the decon facility. The first thing is auto functions, that we make this model very simple and intuitive for nurses. The first function is called auto recognition, that it automatically initiate the correct pressure setting to different corresponding matches. That means when the pump is connected with ProCare Optima prong matches, it will be able to recognize that it is a ProCare Optima prong matches. But when it is connected with ProCare Optima, then it will switch the software for use with ProCare Optima. And the second is auto adjustment, that ensures the pressure is constantly adjusted in accordance with patient's weight and positions. And now let my colleagues show you how these are initiated.
And to show you the quick connector, there's an array of different holes here, different ports into the pump, and obviously from the connector itself. When we place these into the pump, the auto recognition system identifies which mattress is being fitted to the pump, and it will then offer correct pressure to that mattress. So whether it is a supine ProCare Optima or it's a ProCare Optima Prone, the pump will recognise that.
And also we have a transport mode that it can support the patient up to 24 hours. On top of that, we have another optional built-in battery that can be choose for another 6 hours of therapy. And because of the modular mattress design that we put on this model, and it can help reduce 80% of time during the cleaning process. And like all the other air mattress from Apex, that we have a cable management to minimize the trip hazard for the patients and for the nurses in any healthcare environment. And now let my colleague to show you where the battery pack is.
It's worth remembering that this pump and mattress system can come with a backup battery. This is where it is located. You can see the 6 screws and the release there. This has to be ordered with the pump at the point that you're ordering the mattress. It's not a retrofit.
Thank you, Greg. As for the patient, we have 6 cell-in-cell air cell in the torso section for the patient, providing excellent support when in sitting out position or when exiting or entering the mattress. And also microclimate management is very important in terms of skin breakdown. So we have this feature on the mattress that provides very good ventilation to help reduce the accumulation of heat and moisture. And as we demonstrate in the previous slides, that this mattress is able to provide a very effective pressure relief for patients in both prone and supine positions. And now let my colleague to demonstrate where these cell-in-cell air cells are.
And to demonstrate cells through 19 through to 14, these are a cell-in-cell configuration. And these are designed to permit additional support in the sacrum area for entering and exiting the mattress. And just to demonstrate that design, I'm just going to let the air out. And as I open this up, you'll see inside the 2 elbows going to the cells, upper and lower. That's an indication of the cell-in-cell design.
In addition to all these great features and functionalities that we have designed for caregivers and patients, we have also adopted quality materials for better clinical outcomes to the patient. As you can see here, the multifunctional 4-way stretch PU cover is high elasticity, low friction, high vapor permeability, high flame retardant, and biocompatible, and also is resistant to regular disinfection process that can be washed up to 95 degrees Celsius. And for the air cell, we have selected special thermoplastic PU air cells. In total, they are 21 cubic cells that are on our Pocket Optima Prime mattress. 20 of them are equipped with the deflection function individually, as you can see on the side of the mattress. And this material is very highly resistant to hydrolysis reaction, and it has passed 105,000 times of inflation testing. Of course, it has been compatible with REACH and RoHS standards, and it can be washed up to 60 degrees Celsius. And finally, now let's talk about the resources you will be able to get from Apex Medical. So the first thing is videos. As you can see on the left-hand side, that we have made installation and operation video for nurses and workers in hospitals, and also we have made a clinical demo video to showcase how pump positioning should be conducted when using Pocket Optima Prime. And you can search and watch this video on YouTube if you just search Apex Medical Europe. As for hard copies, then we have designed a clinical practice guideline and a pamphlet for the model. Okay, thank you for joining us today. There are still much that Apex Medical can offer, and you can contact us on our website or through the email addresses that you can see here for any question or any support that you might need. And that will be all for today, and thank you very much for watching, and have a nice day.
James, Craig, thank you so much for giving us an insight and a detailed explanation on our products, the ProCare Optima Prone, and explaining how the prone position therapy can help patients with COVID-19. Now, before we enter the Q&A session, I must let everybody know we have a very important guest has joined us today in this product launch. Now, this very important person has been leading 100 of nurses in fighting against COVID-19 in Thailand. And she's Dr. Yuwadi Kitsumpun, Board of Directors, sitting on the International Advisory Board for the Thailand Intrastomal Therapist Society. Let's welcome her. Dr. Yuwadi.
Hi, thank you very much to invite me to this session. It's just a great session. It's very, very, very good. I do a lot of understanding of this material.
Sawadee Kap.
Sawadee ka. Did you hear me? Hello? Did you hear me? Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello, Dr. Yuwadi.
Yes.
Thank you very much for taking the time and participating in this webinar on Apex Medical's product launch on the ProCare Optima Prone. Thank you.
Yep.
Dr. Yuwadi, after our explanation, introduction by James and Craig on the ProCare Optima Prone, maybe we can ask you to share your opinions and any suggestions you have to this product.
Yes. After I saw the video and demonstration, I do understand a lot. And I think that if the nurses look at it, they will love it. And this product help us in a lot of things that we are facing to this time.
Yes.
Because now, like when you see a lot of number in Thailand going up, a lot of cases in ICU, and the nurses, they are so tired because the pandemic is hurt Thailand for a long time, nearly 2 years now. I really like this product, really. I try to get the information to the nurses first, but it is something that I want to know that I don't ask you about the cost now. I want to know that if the mattress is lay on the normal bed in the ICU,
yes,
it's difficult to put the patient on because you haven't got demonstration when they turn the patient. Normally, when we turn, we use a lot of pillow or use a lot of support, right? From the head, from the chest, like something like this. But with this mattress, if you can show the moving video how to do it, it will make a lot of easier for the hospital management will make decision if they want to buy this thing to help a nurse. You know what I mean?
yes.
Because now we spend a lot of money on COVID patient in many things. So if we have to invest something, we have to know that it's really help. But I agree that it can reduce the staff number. But in the video, you didn't show it, right?
That's right. Dr. Yuwadi.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Is there anything else you'd like to add in?
James, you can show me or answer my question.
Okay, no problem. James, would you like to help us on this?
Hi, Mr. Yuadi. As I mentioned in the last part of the presentation, we actually already create 2 videos, and one of which is we call it a clinical demo video. In that video, we already put down everything about how to put the patient from supine position into a prone position, and
Okay.
by using the matrix, our matrix. All right. There is one very important feature on our product is that when the pump is being switched from supine position to prone position, the matrix will actually automatically inflate it to the maximum level to ensure the stability while the patient is being moving on the on the matrix. And after the patient is being put in the prone position, actually the pump will cancel that maximum level of pressure automatically as well, to ensure the surface won't be too stiff, won't be too hard for the patient to cause any possible pressure injury as well. So that what you are asking, yes, we already put it in the video, and we will share that information with you.
Okay, thank
you.
Thank you so much, James. Dr. Yuadi.
Yep.
Yes. Thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah. Another question is that because with the mattress it's lay on the bed like this, we worry about, right, in ICU sometimes they've got some sharp thing, maybe can destroy the cell. Is anything on that? If you want to explain it a little bit, because sometimes they've got like sharp thing like needle or something, that the instrument that we use in the ICU.
Yes. First of all, as I mentioned before, this matrix is with 21 air cell, and we have one function called multi-zone air pressure. So if they say, unfortunately, any air cell being punctured by, for example, a needle, actually, I think a few air cell would be possibly defected. Okay, because they are if they are on the same channel for the air to come through, but the pump itself will send out the low pressure alarm automatically to notify the normal situation to the caregiver around, and that will be the time that where you need to replace a new air cell into the mattress. So this mattress, every single cell of these 21 air cells can be replaced with a new one if if anything is if any cell is been punctured or been damaged, unfortunately. Yeah.
All right. It's been that if some air cell is punctured, but at the rest still working.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
At the system that you set it after the, right?
Yes.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, but of course, some immediate action must be taken to replace the air cell.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Adi, do you have any more questions you'd like to find out from James?
No, but someone that raised the hand at Jane's side.
Yes, but before we go into another Q&A session, Dr. Yuani, I'd like to thank you very much once again for participating on this product launch on the Precare Optima Prone. Having you here with us, giving your valuable opinions and also questions on precise on the product is very important to us. Thank you very much, Dr. Yuani.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that after Dr. Uwadi has raised some questions and provided suggestions, we have other viewers also like to ask a few questions. And so now we are entering another session of Q&A, and I will ask James to help us to answer that. And before that, I'll take a look what the question will be. So the first question is, I need to take a look. Okay, James.
Hi.
Right, so we have a viewer ask, what therapy mode it would be when a nurse switch from supine position mode to prone position mode?
Okay, as my answer to Mr. Uwadi is that the pump will actually switch to a function we call mass burn for 20 minutes. So during these 20 minutes, all the nurses around the patient can conduct the repositioning to move the patient from supine to prone position, and of course on a very stable, fully inflated surface. Okay, and after this 20 minutes, it will switch to the previous therapy mode automatically. Okay, as I mentioned, to ensure there will be no possible pressure injury to the patient. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, James. Now we have another question. I need your help again, James.
Yeah.
How to clean the mattress after use? Is that okay if we use bleach?
Yes. We would in ICU setting, we would usually recommend cleaning process to be conducted after each patient use. Okay, so that would probably 2-3 days or even up to 1 week after one patient. The mattress should be clean. It should be washed in the decon facility. And yes, it is okay to use bleach under certain concentration.
Okay, James. Now, is there anything that's the clean in the decon place they need to be careful of when they are cleaning the products?
First of all, that would be the washing degree. For our top cover, it can be washed up to 95 degrees. So it's a very it's suitable for a very high temperature thermal disinfection. And for the air seal and the base cover, the overall other components on the mattress, that they can be washed up to 60 degrees. And we would highly recommend using a disinfection solutions with just normal pH value.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be probably 7 to 7. All right, so that you won't damage the material that we use on the mattress. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, James. Now, another viewer have asked, how long does the head reposition mode remain activated?
Okay. Unlike the mass burn that can sustain up to 20 minutes, for the head reposition mode, it will be there for 10 minutes for the respiratory therapist to reposition the patient's head. And after 10 minutes, it will switch back to the previous therapy mode. So I believe in 10 minutes, a nurse can finish the head reposition process.
Okay, thank you very much, James. James, the first question we have in hand is that what is the purpose of the black line connected to the mattress? Is that a required component? And I believe this is the black line that you're asking.
Oh, okay. That is the one that we call the position sensor. There is a sensor underneath the mattress that is able to offer auto disinfection to the mattress when the bed or the mattress has been profiled up to 30 degrees. actually the pump will provide extra pressure to the mattress for supporting the patient. So that is a standard component in our Pocket Optima pump, and of course also the other model of Pocket Optima, and is needed and is a must-have when you turn on the pump, turn on the system.
Okay, understood. Thank you very much, James. So I believe this is something very critical to have with us.
Yeah.
All right, James. Further, another question coming out. All right, I believe one of our partners have a question from the client. The question is, when the patient has tracheostomy done, they usually put the patient off the mattress from the front and put several pillows to support the head. How would you recommend doing head positioning in the prone position when the patient has tracheostomy done? They have seen the video, but they still think it's in reality, it's not possible to do it when they have tracheostomy done. Thanks in advance.
Okay. As we have done, I've learned from the international guidelines for the management of conducting pump positioning. We know that usually a pump positioning will be conducted to patient without endotracheal tube, or with endotracheal tube. And there isn't much information about putting the patient with a tracheostomy tube into a pump positioning, into pump position. But I hear from time to time that some of our customer told me about this, that nurses would put a patient with who have done the tracheostomy, and then they would put that in the pump position. I would say it will make things a little bit more complicated, but I think we can try. As you can see from the previous presentation, that Greg just showed us that the pillow at the head end actually can be detached, and all three air cell at the head section can be fully deflated. I believe that by detaching the pillow and deflating all three air cells, it should make enough room for the patient with tracheostomy to move the head from one side to the other. But if it's not, we would unfortunately suggest that they will probably need three nurses. Two of them will need to pull the patient's body a little bit forward to the head end to create that space for the patient to move their head. And but I think that this is quite complicated, because the tracheostomy is the tube on the patient's neck, and it could be very critical, and the respiratory technician at the head end must ensure that the tube must be connected to the patient's neck without any risk of getting it off. And I think we would not really suggest people to do that, but if they do, I think I would suggest to take off the pillow, deflate all three air cells to do such a process.
Okay, thank you so much, James.
Thank you.
I think it's a very complicated operation, and I believe our questionnaire, our viewers would like to know more details about it, and maybe later on they can get in touch with you, and you can provide them with some relative information. Okay.
Yeah.
So another question that, James, I need your help on. Here it goes. I would like to ask some questions. It seems like this Procare Optima Pro mattress system provides optimal pressure adjustment, so-called auto adjustment. and also provides a function, so-called multi-zone pressure distribution. So does the auto adjustment works merely according to the patient's total weight, or the distribution of the patient's weight will also be considered? And also, I've noticed there is a feature so-called individual air cell deflation. And according to your introduction, any numbered air cells among the 20 cells can be deflated by the caregiver individually if needed. However, the concern is that how greatly the amount of the individual deflated cells could possibly affect the auto adjustment function mentioned, or even could make it fail to proceed.
Okay.
James.
Yeah, very good question. The first one is auto adjustment. That one is actually a process that will the mattress the system will measure the patient's weight by measuring the change in the air pressure to provide a optimal pressure level to the mattress. And we have this so-called multi-zone air pressure in the ProCare Optima systems, and this one is actually providing different pressure in different sections for the patient. So, like say, if the patient is weigh, for example, 100 kilograms, and the mattress will provide a certain pressure level, but the head end will be the highest pressure, while the torso section will be the one in the middle, and there will be the minimum pressure at the lower leg section for this patient. And about the individual air cell deflection, and actually that will not affect how our auto adjustment works. And however, as I mentioned in my presentation, we do suggest that they are only 2 air cells at a torso section should be deflected at the same time. I mean, maximum 2 air cells. And for the lower leg section, also we only recommended deflecting 2 air cells at the same time. If you deflect more air cell than what I just mentioned, the possibility is the pump might be sending low pressure alarm signal to notify the nurses around to ask them to fix this problem, this low pressure problem. But it won't affect how our auto adjustment works. And if I keep talking, there will be our business secret. I couldn't share more information than this. Thank you.
Okay, James, thank you very much. I can see that the ProCare Optima Pro has catch the eyes of our partners around the world. So that's why they are keen to know about this, the information and the benefits this product can do for patients on COVID-19. Surely later on, again, if they need to know more information, they're free to contact you. Just to moving on, James.
Yeah.
Further questions that we have is, despite inflation and deflation, any other kind of support to patients for their early recovery and rehabilitation, like Huron beds?
Okay, Huron bed, because I'm sorry, because this product is a air mattress, and what we have on this model is, as I mentioned, alternating therapy, which offers the deflection and the inflection of air cell. On the other hand, we have the other function called continuous low pressure therapy that is able to offer a constantly lower pressure, stable surface to the patient. And for patients who cannot tolerate significant matrix movement, or for patients who cannot tolerate pains, and that would be the therapies usually nurses will select for the patient. But everything must be provided by the professionals, and all the risks for pressure injuries must be assessed before selecting the therapy mode.
Okay, James.
Thank you.
James, I think that both of you and Craig has done such a great introduction, leading to our viewers believe that our ProCare Optima Pro can actually replace a Hill-Rom bed and can be used in daily lives. So, okay, moving on. James, if the pump can be adapted to both ProCare Optima and ProCare Optima Pro, right?
Yes. Before we launched this new model, ProCare Optima Pro, actually we have this the other model of ProCare Optima. They have been on the market for already, I think, 1 to 2 years. And as Greg mentioned, we do have a special sensor near the quick connector at the end of the mattress that is able to recognize which mattress you are connecting to the pump. So this means we only need to have one pump that can be used for 2 different kinds of mattresses.
Okay, James, I guess that's an innovation that comes from Apex Medical.
Yeah. And sorry, there is no extra process needed for connecting the different matches with the same pump.
Okay, understood. Thank you very much, James. All right, let me see if we got another questions. Okay, James, thank you very much. I believe that's all the questions from our viewers. And once again, I'd like to thank Greg and yourself taking the time, showing us what the ProCare Optima Pro is. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. And I think if you all have any question, feel free to contact us. We will provide as much support as we can.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, James.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our partners from Europe and Asia, and we have come to the end of the webinar on the product launch of our ProCare Optima Pro. I'd like to once again thank you so much to everyone for participating in today's webinar. And then, as you may notice, that behind me, the Windows slide has been opened. And the reason for being is that just to let everybody know that right now, Taiwan is facing a typhoon about to come in. And in fact, we are experiencing it right now. And the reason why I bring up this is that imagine the typhoon is such as the pandemic that's causing a havoc around the world. But yet, Apex Medical Corporation still stands here, want to introduce what can be done to release the pressure and the burden for the patient and for the nursing staff around the world. So that means that we will be standing beside you and going through till the end of this COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm Andy, and hoping to see you guys soon once again. Bye-bye.